Hello from my side also. So I'm representing one of those Americans that Jan spoke about, who have the cloud already up there and running. So my presentation will not be about some framework that I kind of trying to sell to you or trying to say that, okay, this is the ITIL version 4 and you should do this, and then the world will be ideal. I will tell you just how we are running our data centers. Live example, this is running at the moment. I checked a few minutes ago, all the buttons are green there. So it is running there at this very moment. So we have about 200 and plus cloud services just to show you a few here. And the most known cloud service for Estonians usually is actually Skype. So still considered as Estonian startup, although some managers were from other countries. So currently we are running it in a rate that per one day there is about 200 years of calls made by Skype. It is running on top of our cloud services. All of you are also using Microsoft Cloud Services and have been using it for a while already. The thing is called Windows Update. So it has been working there for many, many years now, just to show you that we know what we are doing and we have been doing it. We have been doing it for a while. So my presentation will mostly be about our commercial services. So commercial services is Microsoft Azure cloud platform. It's Office 365 that runs on top of it, etc., CRM Online, and so on. There is a distinction actually for us between the commercial services and consumer services. They run on different hardware, they are physically separated, etc. So it will be about how to run this big-scale cloud systems. So here is our cloud infrastructure actually, worldwide. So Australia here, this is currently non-operational. We are still building and testing it, but it will come operational in a few months. Brazil just went to the public preview. So if you want to put your server close to the Football World Championships, you can put it to the Brazil data center. It will be there with really good latency to all the people who are in there. Closest data centers to us are Dublin and Amsterdam. And if you check the latency from here to those data centers, usually it varies from 45 to 55 milliseconds. Something like that. It's how far they are from our, let's say, computer, basically. And the connection lines that you see between those data centers, they are also ours. I will show you later the picture what we have there. So when we talk usually about, I'm not talking about the cybersecurity, but IT security overall. People start thinking about encryption, people start thinking about some cyber criminals, etc., and then they forget where they are actually having their servers. Yes, it's a really nice systems, all the RAID stuff and these kind of things on top of it, and no fire extinguishing system. Or let's say the security guard for the data center is Herman Zim, for example. So these kind of things, usually the IT people don't think about those things. They think that, okay, some facility guys take care of those things. And since facility guys usually don't understand that well the IT problems, they think about the IT people take care of this. So when we think about the data center, it is not only about the racks. It's much, much more. Yes. Sorry about this. It's about securing the power systems there. It's about securing the power backup systems. This thing here is a UPS. I have been walking inside the UPS there actually. It's a big room, size of this, full of batteries, just to provide the UPS power before the backup power will turn on. The engine is shown here. We have, for example, in our Dublin data centers, we have never had to use any backup power. The power that comes in has been so stable for the last many, many years. So when you think about your IT system and their security, it is not only about putting some encryption on top of it. If you have really well encrypted it, but it gets stolen physically, or it is just down, it will affect your business also. Unusable IT, although very well secured, is not that good for your business also. When we now think about moving to the cloud and implementing things in a cloud way, then there are things that actually change for the IT. If you compare it to the really big enterprise IT of about 10,000 seats, there are some companies here in Estonia who run it in that scale also. There are things that needs to be changed in that, and there are things that come out as a result of running it in a scale of million. For example, if you look at this assessment, physical, statistical, an example here, the servers, the new servers that we have in our data centers, they are light colored. Why? Because statistically it came out that people make less mistakes with the light colored servers, because the lighting there is not as bright as here. We need to save the power. So black colored servers, although they look cool, there is a bit darker light, and technicians tend to make some mistakes there more. And since we are running it in a scale of about 1 million servers in total physical servers, that came out. So that's why, from the statistical point of view, all the new servers that come into our data centers are light colored. Actually, the server infrastructure that we are running there, we have open sourced it. You can look at it. It's not that Microsoft and everything is proprietary. No, from Microsoft, a lot of things are currently also open source. So you can really look and then see what physical hardware we are running there. Few more examples. From custodians to designers, this was also described before, that we shouldn't only take orders, but we should actively be also in a process of implementing things. Otherwise, it will not run later on. Silos was also really well described before in this DevOps session, so I will not touch that many times. Reliability, hardware versus software. Usually when you think about some big IT systems, you think about some really big, really expensive systems that are built in a way that they don't break. Guess what? They do break. So face the fact. In English language, there is this saying, shit happens, and it really does. So build it in a way that hardware can break, and it will not affect your system. If the hardware fails, it will reroute the systems, so it will still be up and running. I guess at this very moment, we have tens of failed hard disks in our data centers, maybe hundreds, I don't know. We have tens of failed motherboards, processors, memories. All the systems are running green at the moment. No issue with that, because we have taken it into account since the beginning that those hard disks will fail. We just don't know which ones. And really, from the operability point of view, don't think about mean time between failures to build up the system that never fails, so the mean time between those things. Think about mean time to recover, that if something happens, you act really quickly and you fix it before it gets noticed, preferably automatically. So, cloud scale is really resilient services and solving hardware problems in software. because hardware will fail. If you don't remember anything more from this presentation, hardware will fail. Yes, we are a software company, we can say that. Self-healing solutions that root around the failures and really being the enabler for the business through that. And it is not something big, clumsy, siloed thing, the best hardware switch and the best whatever other thing. It's the software that ties it together. Actually, there is one more thing that comes as a result of this thinking. You can get the commodity hardware to your data center. Commodity hardware means cheaper hardware than purpose-built, really expensive systems. So here is how we have it as a process. So who is here a process people? I saw some people before, but they went to listen to this software-defined network. So developers really working in this DevOps model described before. I wouldn't touch it that much also. Operations running it on a runbook base. What is also interesting is that from the security point of view, people who are running our systems from the IT point of view, they never enter the data center. They don't know where those systems are in a data center. So you can't physically anyhow attack the systems in this way also. People who are working in a data center, in a physical facility, they don't know what's running on top of it. It's a bunch of hardware, and they are going just in and out, break and fix, and then replacing those things. So if there will be later some pictures about some people looking at some console inside the data center, these are marketing pictures from our side. This is not reality. There is nothing going on in the data center in that sense. And operations people are at least some 500 kilometers away from the data center. So it doesn't happen that in the evening they meet in one pub in Tallinn. I guess it would be Texas for some reason. And then one people says, okay, I went there and then replaced this hardware, and the other said, okay, I was there and then I was today doing some backup restore for this customer. And there is a third person in a table who says, okay, this person's data or this company's data is in those hard disks. If I will steal this, I will get some value out of it. This is avoided this way. People who enter data center never enter ops center and vice versa. So really to think about stealing something physically from there, it is like finding a needle from the haystack, and it's, I think, the best guarded haystack in the world in that sense also. So it's really, really difficult. Yes, the next abstraction layer is really where we place our workload. It's called this public, private, or hybrid cloud. Hardware at transit, mainly just commodity hardware. There is nothing fancy, big subsystems, really commodity things to drive the price point down. So we would be really in a competitive situation, as Jan told, and it's really easier to manage. Less complicated subsystems, different consoles together. No, one big console from where to manage it. And the data center really is about efficiency, energy efficiency mainly, but also providing the security from the physical security point of view, energy security point of view, data connection security point of view. One thing that just to show you here was the network. So when we have all those big data centers, then you need to have a pretty good connection between those data centers, inside those data centers, and to the, let's say, rest of the world also. So we have built it by ourselves. It's in the top 3 of most connected networks in the world. So we don't rent it from anybody. It's really, really our subsystems. And some numbers, if it's something says to you that that million plus 10 G DVDM route miles and then these kind of things. So, security is the thing that we started with some Bill Gates memo called trustworthy computing. And then this is the baseline how we build and the framework how we build all our subsystems. So secure channel is also built using this trustworthy computing. Who knows what is the secure channel? It's the SSL component of Windows. It's not affected by Heartbleed. So this is kind of an example of this trustworthy computing also working in real life. If you run a Windows system and you have not replaced the secure channel with OpenSSL, then you're fine. You can leave those systems for later and go back fixing other systems. So, as an input, business objectives and industry standards and regulations. If you look at our data center websites and then the compliance information there are pages and pages about to what standards and to what regulations we are compliant with. ISKE is not there, and I think due to the size of our market it will not be there. But for example, ISKE is also kind of tied to ISO 27001. It's one of our actually basis for designing all the systems. So this is really how the objectives and standards come together, and as an outcome, just to show you also, is those certification and attestations. It's, as was said, that passing an PCI DSS audit doesn't mean that you are secure all the time, but what is the other way to show it to you? We can't let all our millions of customers to come in and audit our systems. This is the way how we show it to you. And really the framework is built in a way that once you have implemented the standard, later on you really work with the standard according to it also, so you are actually compliant all the time. It is not that when the next ISO audit comes in, we'll quickly do those papers, put those maps there, and then oh, passed, let's have a beer, and then continue in the old way. No, we can't work in this scale in that way. You can do it in a small organization this way, that if you have your ISO 9000 standards audit coming in, then you quickly do those things, and then later you go back to the actually working process once the auditors have left the company. Can't do it this way. And this is the government and controls framework around it. Microsoft security policy is kind of the central part of it. Includes the policy, standards, baseline, and standard operating procedures. So anybody who has been dealing with a processes, then they know what those things mean. And it really comes up, and then we can show those things later on with the audit results. Yes, different domains in control frameworks where our security and compliance program is based on those industry standards and best practices. I will later show one example also. And then the structure, how it works. So you can see that for our data center, we have 63 policy objectives and 631 unique control activities that we have to deal with on a daily basis, really. Really, the data center work is structured in a way that if somebody goes in there to do some things, there are some pre-set times for that. If the people are, let's say, doing things for longer than that, they need to have a good explanation why they stayed in the data center longer time. If the explanation is not good, people needs to find a new job. So really you go there, you do some things, and you really come back out, because otherwise we can't control it. And then here is an example of one control objective. And all the trainees are, let's say, expected to understand it and comply with it. And as you can see, it actually answers to, here is an example of 4 of those security standards or regulations. So what we are really looking at, if something new comes in, we try to map it to the existing one. Okay, we have it, we have it, we have it, we have it, we do it this way already. Okay, it fits to that, it is better than this. So here is an example. ISO is, I speak about HIPAA is, for example, health industry standard, and then PCI DSS is a payment card industry standard. Another thing is defense in depth. So when you look at your defense also, you should look that in a way that you are building your, let's say, IT systems also. Where is your single point of failures? If those things fail, will it be kind of a rerouted some other way? What is the compensating control to fix it if this security measure fails? For example, when we recycle or take down the old servers from our commercial part of the cloud. Yes, usually what happens, the data gets erased and these kind of things also. There is also one compensating control on top of it. The hard disks will go through the shredder. So in case something was left there, something valuable was there, something that wasn't really erased there at the moment when it should have been, it will go through the shredder, and the outcome is small particles with a size of 1 millimeter maximum. So kind of an example of compensating control, constantly doing it. Here is an example again about compliance standards, and one thing we don't have here, this presentation is a bit old, is that there is a body called Article 29 Working Party, it was, yes. So this is the body that puts together all the data protection authorities in all the European Union countries and European Commission. So we have got a clearance from that body that our data center and cloud system agreements actually comply with European Union privacy standards. So all the European Union data protection authorities have said that we are fine. And we didn't get it just by sending one email and they put a stamp on it, or we didn't get it because they allowed us to sniff around in your data. It was actually 3 years proving them that we are not sniffing around in your data. So this is why we got it. It's just not in this picture yet. We are actually the only cloud provider who has it, the American one who has it. So all the others, they actually rely on this safe harbor agreement between EU and the United States. But the EU Parliament is actually voting within a few months, is this safe harbor agreement valid anymore or not? Should we cancel or postpone it? So we have one level higher approval from EU. So, pre-adoption concern. Really, all the customers that are actually running our cloud system or are running on top of our cloud systems, all of them are thinking about, okay, the security changes a bit, so what's next? So it's kind of a similar what I personally saw in 2005, 2006 with server virtualization. All the people were talking about it, really nice features, it could save some money, has some more agile environments and so on. And then the people say, but I don't trust if you put it there, you can sneak in through this hypervisor and then listen all the data, and I don't feel secure. Those people were called server huggers at that time. So they really wanted to see where their data is. So similar thing at the moment. Everybody is thinking, okay, when I put it to your American company cloud, what will happen? And almost half of them are concerned that the cloud would result in a lack of data control because I can't see the lights blinking anymore, so I don't control it somehow anymore. What has been the outcome actually is that they have realized that they have gained security benefits that they didn't have before. They maybe wanted it, but it was just out of their reach due to the investments and these kind of things. So really putting the things to the cloud, once they got all those features that otherwise would have been undoable for them. For example, what you can really easily get if you back up your data to the cloud, you get the geo redundancy like that. The backup is not next door, so if something happens to your data center, either too much heat or too much water, your data is far, far away from that. So they get it kind of instantly. The kind of security features, physical security features that might have been concerned before, it was all like that. And to build yourself a really secure environment, secure it on a 24/7 basis, and so on and so on, it costs quite a lot compared to all the other features that are actually inside those data centers. So they got it. And then they said that the privacy protection in the overall layer has actually increased. So instead of losing it, they actually get the better privacy protection. Here's one example. So trying to do an example about some really secure stuff, so would be good to show some security company. So G4S in UK, they are running their application called eViper. This is the application that monitors their cars that transport money, valuables, documents, and so on and so on. So it needs to be kind of a secure environment where to run it. They were actually evaluating several providers, cloud providers, hosting providers, and so on and so on. And this is their statement that you can read there, why they ended up actually in Microsoft Azure environment. Another example I can tell you is that I have a customer in Cyprus, and this customer is running a Forex business, so this money exchange, these kind of things. And then there is something with this business that all of their previous customers, not all, but a lot of their previous customers who have lost the money, they are kind of angry against this Forex company. It's like you're angry to the casino when you lost the money there. No, you went there and you played actually this game. So and what they are doing, they are ordering a DDoS attack against those companies. So what is actually common to all of those companies is that they are constantly fighting against the DDoS. So what they got actually when moving to Azure was our DDoS protection. We don't have SLA on it, but it is a really comprehensive system, because when you think that we have about 1 million servers there, so if you just randomly pick somebody, it might be they are in the Azure. So we can't let this DDoS attack to take the Azure down actually. So they were running their stuff in Cyprus, in UK, in some hosting provider, and in Azure. So DDoS attack began, and Cyprus and UK went down because of the overload, and nothing came through actually to the Azure, and they thought, okay, somehow it wasn't attacked. Actually it was, but it just this protection took it down. So it's on the perimeter of the Azure, but also in the Azure between the systems, so you can't kind of DDoS another company or person by also buying some Azure resources and then you're inside, so you can do it from there. No, you can't do it this way also. So, but the question that I also quite often receive is, okay, when I put my data to your cloud, Mr. Microsoft, will you take care of everything? Will you take care of me being compliant with those and those requirements and so on and so on? And will you be responsible for me being compliant? No. You are still responsible for being compliant. We don't take over it. You are still responsible for your data. You are still the owner of your data. We don't take over the ownership of your data because you don't want to give it over. And there are different models actually in the cloud: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And there is this kind of a line that goes through there where you can see, okay, which part now this cloud provider takes care and which part now you still have to take care. And ultimately, you are still responsible in front of your customers, auditors, whatever regulatory instances that your systems are compliant. For example, if you look at the Microsoft Azure website, there is a document about how to be a PCI DSS compliant, some kind of handbook or these kind of things. And there is written that the PCI DSS, this requirement, okay, it's handled by Microsoft. This should be handled by you. This thing is kind of a mix, so you and Microsoft are actually responsible for being, let's say, for achieving the compliance with the PCI DSS. So just to remind once more from here, when you put your things to the cloud, you don't wipe your hands clear from this system. You are still responsible for your systems in front of your customers, in front of your whatever institutions who wants to audit it. We can help you achieving the compliance by being compliant by ourselves, but you still have to take care of the things that are on top of the cloud. So, some considerations when really choosing the cloud provider. First of all, are they kind of showing that they have already achieved something? Do they have already some third-party certifications and audits and these kind of things you show? This was the picture that is not from our data center. This we don't do in our data centers. And really on a component level, so you really see that, okay, if there is some ISO certification, we just haven't certified this door for PCI DSS, for example. But really the components that you are going to use, are they certified or are they not certified? Because this is what the auditors will be asking also from you. What are the security and compliance obligations you need to meet? And are those things actually matching with a cloud provider or not? So can you really distinguish to which data center your systems will be put from the, let's say, EU legislative point of view, or they will be just somewhere in the world and you never know where they are? And because you need to meet those obligations. Required transparency in security policies and operations, and one of the things that also Estonian Estonian State IT Agency is saying that think how you can get out of the cloud, because there are a lot of really good tools to migrate you to the public cloud. Excellent work, excellent way. Think how you can get out of it, because there might be some things why you need to get out of there also. It doesn't have to be a push-button solution, that you have it really ready and you have some hardware empty waiting. But just think through that, okay, in case there will be some things. For example, this safe harbor agreement will be terminated. and so you cannot use this cloud provider due to the regulatory reasons anymore, so you have to get out of there. What is your way? It doesn't have to be your in-house. You might move to some other cloud. You might move to some, I don't know, hosting provider. You will go to ByteLife hosting, for example, if needed, but you still have that plan what to do, how to get out of it, and how much work will be with it. And yes, really consider the ability to accommodate or deal with the changing security and compliance requirements, because they are changing all the time. When is their next PCI DSS audit coming in? When is their next ISO audit coming in? So can they prove continuously that they are compliant with it, or they are just, okay, once they did and that's it. So, some questions about the transparency. Where is data stored? Really important, especially in EU. You need to know where your data is when it includes to some sensitive data. So I don't mean government secrecy. There are different rules for that, but really to see where it is stored. Who accesses my data and why it is accessed? For example, we in Microsoft say that please encrypt everything that you put to Azure and encrypt it with your own key. We don't want to know anything what's in your data. This is your responsibility. This is your data, so you are responsible for it. So keep it also in a secure way. As Jan Priisalu said, we should encrypt everything. Please do. And there is actually a really good document in this state IT agency's website about encryption algorithms, which ones are good to use, which ones are not that good to use anymore, and so on. Take a look at that and encrypt everything that you send out from your own premises. Encrypt it already in your premises, send it out encrypted, hold it encrypted with your key. There is one of our big competitors also who are saying that everything that you put to their cloud storage will be encrypted. So first of all, on the wire, this thing is not encrypted, and the second and more important thing is that they encrypt it and they have the encryption key. So in case they want, and they actually want to run indexing on it to sell some things to somebody, they can open it and then look it. But this is the clear thing. Encrypt it with your own keys. Don't give it to Microsoft. If this data gets somewhere leaked, we are out of the picture, sorry. You gave this encryption key to somebody. And also, how to get notified and so on and so on. Is there really a list of subcontractors who might look into your data in case of some, let's say, incidents and so on? Maybe you would like to solve them. Okay, we don't do it by ourselves. There is a subcontractor, but it is listed. When the subcontractors change, we notify you, and you can terminate the contract if you don't agree with this subcontractor. There is also a thing that we introduced lately. We promised to you that we will delete your data latest 180 days after you have terminated your contract. It is not just lying around there. We have said that there is the latest 180 days we will delete it. You have 90 days to move it away from our cloud. So we don't delete it like the next minute also, but latest 180 days it will be actually deleted. So really, what's the benefit and what the customers have realized out of it also? This is not something sales material that just say, okay, you could do it. They have been benefiting out of it. And really, one of the main things why several companies have moved there is to actually meet the compliance needs they need to meet. They can put several things to our environment, we take care of it, take care of their business-related system on top of it. Here is a list of some customers who are using it. Many are from Europe, from IT industry, from telco, TV, there is also some public sector companies, and so on and so on. So they didn't go to Azure because they don't care about the data security. They went there because they actually care about data security. All of them had the security verifications, they went it through and they saw it's actually worth going there. It's not that, I don't know, Lufthansa Systems doesn't care now about the data security and they just put something there, what the heck, we don't care about it. No, no. A really thorough evaluation was done and really the result was they removed there. Here are some sites that you can start looking at if you're interested in how we are doing it on a really daily basis. This is still running there. I haven't checked now for half an hour, are they green, but I'm actually pretty confident that all the buttons are still green there and still working. It doesn't mean that we never have issues there. As I said, mean time to recover is the goal there, and sometimes there might be some disturbances. We don't give you 100% SLA, we give you 99.9 on some systems, and on some systems 99.95. Financially backed SLA, so if systems don't work, you will get your money back also. So really based on that. Thank you. You are the first one to get to the lunch now. Any quick questions? Yes?
There was Samsung data center complaints a couple of days ago.
Yes.
Was it somehow related to Microsoft Cloud?
No. We are not running Samsung data centers, but we are running some of their services that they are providing actually worldwide. So they decided, okay, we will put one of our biggest customers actually by the revenue is Samsung. So just to give you a hint about, let's say, this kind of security, our biggest data center in Quincy, US, its fire department is bigger than Heathrow Airport's fire department. The scale is like that, if you want to know.
Any other questions? Well, then, thank you for sharing. And I think it was pretty brave to come here and say that the cloud is more secure than do it yourself.
And you are still responsible.
And come and tell that from American companies. So thank you very much,
Yes.
Tarmo.